Hey, it's A Humble Collector here, and in today's video we're going to take a look at this very interesting Navy flat cap for a sailor on board the USS Sierra. So this is the flat cap in question. Now, what I really like about flat caps from this period is that they all have these cap tallies on them, which show where the sailor was assigned while they were actually wearing this piece of kit. So in this case, the sailor that originally owned this was on board the USS Sierra. Now, the Sierra itself, you probably have not heard of. It's one of many troop transports that the U.S. had during the First World War, and frankly, there's not a lot very interesting about its service as far as I could tell from online. It actually started life as the USS Sierra, so the name didn't change when it entered military service. It started its life as a liner for the Oceanic Steamship Company in 1900, and basically spent its entire pre-war career just doing runs from San Francisco to Honolulu. In fact, it completed over 100 of these runs by the time the 1914 came around. Now, even though the U.S. entered the war in 1917, it took us a while to actually get moving and start shipping large numbers of troops over to France. The U.S. Navy ended up buying Sierra in 1918, commissioned her as the USS Sierra, and used her to run troops to France up until the end of the war, and then started bringing soldiers back to France on board Sierra as well. And in 1919, she was decommissioned. It would eventually be sold back into civilian service. She passed through a couple different companies, was actually briefly renamed SS Gdansk before being repurchased by the Oceanic Steamship Company, renamed USS Sierra, and remained in service with them until her selling and scrapping in 1934. Interestingly enough, she was sold to a firm out of Japan for her scrapping, along with several other ocean liners. And apparently, the Japanese sailors that came to pick her up refused to sail on a ship that didn't have Maru in the name. So she was actually renamed the Sierra Maru before she ended up getting sailed to Japan and scrapped there. So, very important service, obviously, bringing men to the First World War and then back from it, but nothing particularly noteworthy, at least I could find online. And I'm going to try to intercut some photos that I found as well here so you can kind of see what she looked like. Now, what's interesting about this particular hat, and it's actually very common with these flat caps, it is named on the inside to a C.J. Lamb. And shockingly, I was actually able to find who I believe is the correct individual. Charles J. Lamb was born October 25th, 1895. And per the records I could find in Ancestry, he served in the Navy. And I actually was able to determine this is probably the right guy because I found a posting from an Ohio Veterans publication of some kind that actually noted a little bit about his service. And it specifically notes he was called to active duty in July of 1918 and served on board USS Sierra from August 18th, 1918 through the end of the war. So this does appear to be the correct individual. Now, Charles survived the First World War and would actually pass away in November of 1979 and is currently buried in Lancaster, Ohio. So always kind of nice when we can tie a story back to a vet. But yeah, I started picking up these flat caps in preparation for the U.S. Navy's 250th this past year, and I went from having none to now I have, I think, 10. They're really cool. A lot of them are from troop ships. I have one from the USS Leviathan. I have another one from USS von Steuben, which were two more famous of the liners that were converted for troop transport duty. But yeah, super cool. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. I like talking about this kind of stuff, so definitely be willing to show more of them in the future. But yeah, overall, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment down below. Love hearing from you. Thank you all for watching. Happy collecting, and I'll see you all again very soon.